I don't know. I feel like one of those theater kids auditioning for a role. Hi, I'm Joseph Silva, and today I will be auditioning for the role of MLB General Manager. Welcome to the Dugout. I'm your host, the aforementioned Joseph Silva, and on today's episode, I'm doing something a little bit different here. If I was the GM of every team in Major League Baseball, these are the 5 trades I would make, and stick around because it gets fucking wild. But before we get started, if you're enjoying the content, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the Run the Play Network. Anthony's Thunder are NBA champions. My Dodgers are World Series champions. Phil's Lakers got Luka Doncic. Subscribing to the Run the Play Network brings success to your teams. Or you can always not subscribe. But with the trade deadline fast approaching, I definitely would not risk it. Now, the first deal I would do is a very obvious no-brainer in my mind, and that is Merrill Kelly going to the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs need pitching in the worst possible way here. Matthew Boyd is a dog, but after him, peanuts, nothing. It's an empty cupboard. So they need a number 2 badly, and Merrill Kelly has shown that he can be a number 2 on a World Series team, and he's actually having a really good year this year. On the year, started 22 games, going 128 and 2/3 innings with a 3.22 ERA, good for a 1.32 ERA plus a 1.06 WHIP, 121 strikeouts, good for 8.5 strikeouts per 9, 2.7 walks per 9, a home run per 9, and a 3.53 FIP. That home run per 9 number is going to get a lot lower because, Wrigley Field, the wind comes in. Nothing's getting out of that ballpark. I think Merrill Kelly is going to have a big success in Chicago, and on top of that, too, he does not have to be the guy in Chicago. It's just a really good rental piece for a team. We don't necessarily know where they're going to be next year, quite frankly. The Ricketts family has been a little apprehensive about spending money, and Kyle Tucker is going to cost a lot of money here. But if they get Kelly, show that this team can make the NLCS, maybe even the World Series, who knows? I think that's enough to convince Tucker to stay. Now, who are you giving up on this one? Well, I have, going back to the Diamondbacks, number 5 prospect in the Cubs system, Ryan Gallagher, starting pitcher. On the year, he started 13 games in the minors, throwing 62 and a third innings with a 2.02 ERA, whip under 1, 79 strikeouts between high A and double A. And overall, he's got a fastball with good velocity but inconsistent movement here. But the main problem with him is he has trouble locating his secondary stuff. But this Diamondbacks team, I'm not saying, the Tigers, the Dodgers of pitching development, but they are very good at developing pitchers. I think they're the most underrated pitching development team in the league. So to get someone like Gallagher into that system, I think he can really come along and fix what is going to be a very dire rotation in 2026 for this Diamondbacks team. On top of that, too, I think Jackson Wiggins, the Cubs' number 8 prospect, will be going back as well to Arizona. Same thing. On the year, 16 games started, throwing 84 innings with a 3.43 ERA, 1.07 WHIP, 96 strikeouts, again between high A and double A. And he just has average velocity. That's not what makes his fastball good. It has fantastic IVB and command. And the changeup is the main secondary with a very, very mediocre slider and a poor curveball. But if he can just get one of them to come along, he would be a fantastic 3-pitch starting pitcher. And that's basically what you need to be a successful starter in the majors these days. I think he's not going to be a big arm in that rotation by any means, but I think Wiggins can provide a lot of value to Chicago. But before we get to the other trades in this video, let's hear a word from our sponsor.
Baseball's in full swing this summer, and if you're someone who knows ball, you need to check out Boom Fantasy. You could cash out if you predict things like hits, strikeouts, and RBIs. Boom's the only platform you could cash out 500 times your money on just a 2-leg parlay. If baseball isn't your thing, the WNBA is also in full swing this season, and there's a lot of superstars making their names for themselves. I've been loving cashing out on Angel Reese overs because everyone's just hating on her. If you never heard of this platform before, or if you don't know betting's for you, use code RTP for a risk-free bet up to $100. That's code RTP, and it's the best way to support this show. Let's get back to the video.
I'm a Dodger fan. This deadline is always about us. We are so popular, but we need bullpen help in the worst possible way. The rotation is starting to come together a little bit here. I'm not saying it's all the way there. They are starting to take the governor off Ohtani, but I don't think he's going to get postseason innings, especially long, deep postseason innings. So really, you got to fix this bullpen because, Yes, I understand. American hero. God bless. Blake Trinan is back. However, he did not look good last night, my friends. No, he did not. We don't know what the timetable for Kopech is. Bond has been inconsistent. Vesia has been very, very good this year. But other than that, Tanner Scott, my guy, you're bad. Kirby Yates, same thing. You're bad this year. The Dodgers need like just a true closer in this bullpen at this point because yes, I understand Scott has been good, but he's been blowing it way, way too much for this Dodgers team. And I don't want Trinan in that role necessarily. He functions much better as that fireman shutdown reliever. And he was that in that World Series run, both World Series runs, quite frankly. So let my man put out the fires here. So the Dodgers, I know we've been linked to names like Yohan Duran, Emmanuel Clase, not anymore, unfortunately. Something about Cleveland, man. But there is one name I think the Dodgers can be players for, and that is St. Louis Cardinals closer Ryan Helsley. He's not having, a Ryan Helsley type season, but I will take this in my bullpen, especially from the closer. He's on the year, appeared in 36 games, throwing 36 innings. He's got an ERA of 3 flat, good for a 139 ERA plus. A 1.39 whip, 41 strikeouts, good for 10.3 strikeouts per nine, 3.5 walks per nine. Yikes. 1 home run per nine and a 3.05 FIP or 3.50 FIP. And I'm looking at it, and yes, the strikeout numbers are down. Yes, he's walking 2 more batters. Yes, the fly ball, that home run number is probably going to go up in Los Angeles because for some reason, Dodger Stadium is the most homer friendly venue in the league. Weird. But he can solidify this back end. He does not have to do anything except for show up for the ninth and just shut it down. Let everyone else in the bullpen find their roles. And once they do, I'm not saying the bullpen dogs are back. They won't be as special as that unit, quite frankly. But it can be like a very good weapon akin to, I want to say the 2017 bullpen, which people forget was a very, very good unit that backed up a solid rotation. And that's really what you should be aiming for here. Is Yamamoto's been elite. We're going to see what we get from Blake Snell. He's looked really good in the minors, but it's Blake Snell against minor leaguers. It's really, the definition of hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby. The rest of the rotation has looked solid enough, even if you might have to be relying on playoff Kershaw, as overblown as it can be sometimes. You just need a bullpen to supplement him. And I think, Kopech to Trinan to Helsley with Vesia thrown in there, I think that's a really good bullpen, especially in the playoffs. But it's not going to come cheap. And it starts off with the Dodgers' number 13 prospect, Hyun-Suk Jang. On the year, the numbers do not seem that impressive. He's started 11 games, thrown 35 and 2/3 inning with a 4.54 ERA, 1.32 whip, and 47 strikeouts. But the stuff is incredible, man. It is arguably, and I do not say this lightly, it is the best stuff in the Dodgers farm system, bar none. You can make an argument for some other players, but really, it is Jang because, oh my God, it's incredible. But the problem is, his delivery since coming over to America from Korea has really been inconsistent, hasn't necessarily been the best. And that's leading to a walk problem that, quite frankly, did not exist in Korea. Now, do I trust the Cardinals to iron out those mechanics? No, not necessarily. But you know what you have to fix with him is he's very athletic. I think he can overcompensate sometimes because of that athleticism. If you just get him to have clean, repeatable mechanics, I think he's going to be a fantastic pitcher. He might even have ace potential just based on how good that stuff is. But we have to wait and see if St. Louis can fix him. And of course, because you can't trade the number 13 prospect. You got to trade the number 11 prospect in a very deep farm system here. And I think that's Kendall George, Dodgers number 11 prospect, who on the year, 259 average with 3 home runs, 25 RBIs, an incredible 55 stolen bases, good for a 375 on base, 349 slugging, and a 724 OPS. And really the big thing with him is speed. We know he is speed. There have been scouts that say, I'd give him a 90 speed if I could. He is incredibly fast. But the problem is, it's too many balls on the ground. It's Billy Hamilton syndrome, quite frankly. He's basically Billy Hamilton. He's not going to be the defender that Billy Hamilton is. He's not going to be the runner that Chandler Simpson is. But he's working on getting the ball in the air a little bit more, working on getting on base a lot. And I think if he can iron out, just a line drive approach, do not attempt to have that Justin Turner uppercut swing. What you need to do is just get on first, run to second, run to third, and score on a sac fly. I think that is exactly the role he needs. And this Cardinals team, I think, can use a little bit more speed down the line. They don't have a lot of it on their team. I think this Cardinals team could really benefit from these two. Is it an underpay? Perhaps. But we're going to throw up the baseball trade values. It's actually an overpay from the Dodgers. That's right. Now, every deadline has the blockbuster trade. The one where you're like, oh my God, they did this one. And Dave Dombrowski is usually the one making these kind of trades here. Philadelphia, man. I don't want to say this is their last best chance, but this really is their last best chance here. The rotation is phenomenal. The bullpen is suspect. And the lineup, Bryce Harper is very good. Trey Turner is very good. Kyle Schwarber is very good. After that, it's Alec Boehm's going to hit his potential, maybe. I'm not really quite sure. So because of that, they do need an outfield bat, and they do need a closer desperately here. So I really think it is going to be a blockbuster trade between the Phillies and the Twins, because the Phillies, not only would they get Johan Duran, who is now the best closer on the market, but they would also get Harrison Bader, who is a much needed piece in this outfield here. On the year, Johan Duran has appeared in 48 games, thrown 48 and a third innings with a 1.86 ERA, good for a 2.28 ERA plus, a 1.14 whip, 52 strikeouts, good for 9.7 strikeouts per nine, 3 walks per nine, and a very measly 0.2 home runs per nine, leading to a 2.38 FIP. And the outfielder they're getting, Harrison Bader, is quietly putting up a very solid year, as he's got a 255 average with 12 home runs, 38 RBIs, 336 on base, 441 slugging, good for a 776 OPS and a 118 WRC plus. And on top of that, too, in center field, he's putting up 5 outs above average compared to who's currently playing the position, and someone who, at the time when they acquired him in 2022, I'm like, this is the outfielder they need. Brandon Marsh, who has a very, very average 0 outs above average. So they're getting better defense in the outfield. They're getting a better bat than Brandon Marsh. Yes, I understand Bader does not play that much against lefties, and you still have to find a right-handed bat who can take advantage of that. But you are getting increased outfield production and a very good glove on top of, a closer who can finally lock down the back end of this Phillies bullpen. You have to do this if you're Philadelphia. Unfortunately, Johan Duran has a lot of control, which means it's not going to be cheap. So, of course, they have to trade their number 3 prospect, Justin Crawford, who on the year is hitting .327 with 3 home runs, 31 RBIs, 31 stolen bases, good for a 409 on base, 430 slugging, and an 838 OPS plus. And the big thing with him is he has fantastic at-the-ball skills, makes a lot of contact. As you could tell by the slugging and the home run numbers, he doesn't necessarily have the best power tool, but he's avoiding hitting ground balls. He has a great base runner with a great outfield potential. He has a very high floor, not a great ceiling, but I think he is very projectable in this Twins outfield. And we're not done yet, because they're going to get Mick Abel, who's not been great in the majors, fantastic in the minors though. In the majors, he's started 6 games, thrown 25 innings with a 5.04 ERA, good for an 86 ERA plus. Yikes. A 1.36 whip, 21 strikeouts, good for 7.6 strikeouts per nine, 3.2 walks per nine, a very, very terrifying 2.5 home runs per nine, and a 6.25 FIP. But in the minors, he is fantastic. 13 games started, he's got 74 and 2/3 innings with a 2.31 ERA, 1.16 whip, and 81 strikeouts. And again, an incredible fastball, an elite fastball. But the problem is, he has trouble with his secondary stuff, whether it's the movement or just the stuff itself or the location of it. He's really just like right there. And really, I don't want to say he's Joe Ryan, because his fastball is not as good as Joe Ryan's. But the big thing is they finally got Joe Ryan to develop a secondary pitch. So if they can do that with Mick Abel, they have another fantastic player on their hands, they might have to do it too because Joe Ryan might be gone at the deadline. But spoiler alert, he will not be showing up in this video. It's way too expensive of a piece to acquire for any team that needs starting pitching. However, he is very good. Mick Abel, I think, can just fit into this Twins rotation very, very nicely. And we're still not done here because we have to trade a third top 10 prospect from this Philly system here in Moises Chase, who on the year has started 16 games, throwing 16 and 2/3, or 6 games, throwing 16 and 2/3 innings with a 3.42 ERA, 1.62 WHIP, and 19 strikeouts. And again, elite fastball. Not really in love with his secondary stuff. Unfortunately, this isn't a Mick Abel situation where it's either the command or the stuff itself that's bad. No, it's both with Chase. But, on top of that too, his command, how do I put this politely, is dog ass. And that's me putting it politely. 5.8 walks per 9 in the minors this year is frankly unforgivable. And you're really just banking on the fact that, like, okay, we got to teach him how to throw this baseball. We have to teach him from a thrower to a pitcher. But, he's a high upside pick. I don't think they can necessarily fix him. But it's another one of those arms, another lotto ticket. You can just get into that system and just see what happens here. This is, quite frankly, a big overpayment from Philadelphia, but they need to do this here because this may be Bryce Harper's last real chance to win a ring with this core. Yes, I know Andrew Painter is coming soon. He's not a bat, though. And our second to last trade here. I think this is the most obvious one of all of them on the deadline list here, but I'm still going to do it anyways. That is Ryan O'Hearn to the Rangers. The Rangers, they are heating up, man. They are in a wild card spot. I don't think they're necessarily going to catch Houston and win the AL West, but they look pretty damn good here. Is Corey Seager. Thank you, Corey Seager. I was starting to look like an idiot for that MVP pick. You're not Judge or Cal Raleigh. You're looking good, though. You're making me look a little bit less like a dumbass here. The offense is heating up in a big, big way. The pitching staff, it still has some injuries concerns, but it is fantastic to say the least. They need bullpen help, but the rotation itself is solid. But you need to fix this lineup. This team slugged their way to the World Series in 2023. And, Adolis Garcia is not having a great year. Josh Young is not having a great year this year. We know about Jock Peterson's struggles and that infamous chase for Chris Davis's record that nobody wants. He had at the start of the year. And more importantly, why Ryan O'Hearn I have going to Texas is because the man, the myth, the fantastic food himself, Jake Berger, has been very disappointing at first base. They need production from that spot in a big, big way here, and that's provided immensely by O'Hearn, who on the year is hitting 282 with 12 home runs, 39 RBIs, good for 375 on base, 450 slugging, and 825 OPS and a 133 WRC+. As O'Hearn provides a nice middle of the order bat. You can maybe even hit him 2, drop Seager down to 3, but really he just is a nice bat that this Rangers team desperately, desperately needs, because aside from Seager, Carter, and Langford, this lineup isn't that great. Marcus Semien has been dead on average this year in terms of both WRC plus and OPS plus. So just to get another bat in there that can help make the difference for a Rangers team that was looking to prove that 2023 was not the fluke championship that a lot of fans are starting to think it was, they need to go all in a big, big way here. And unfortunately, that means they have to send Cole Drake to Baltimore because, my God, is this market for O'Hearn a very, very highly competitive one here. I can see San Diego being in on him. Your, cross-state rival, Houston, really, really wants him badly. The Brewers have been rumored to get O'Hearn. This is a team that desperately needs to get something out of their, one big piece. So getting Cole Drake is a huge win here because on the year, he started 15 games with 72 and 2/3 innings thrown with a 3.10 ERA, 1.10 whip, and 87 strikeouts. And the thing with him is he's kind of opposite of the two pitchers we talked about before. Is he doesn't necessarily have the best fastball, but he's got solid secondary stuff and elite command. So really, as Yusei Kikuchi has shown, you don't really necessarily need to have a good fastball if you throw your secondary stuff more often here. And that's really, if you can't get the fastball to be just even an average pitch. That's the approach you can take with Cole Drake. Do I necessarily trust Baltimore's pitching development? No. But there is a game plan here that can make Drake very successful here. More importantly, he should be ready in time for opening day 2026 to break camp as a starter, probably the 4 or 5 starter. Or given Baltimore, he might be the opening day starter with how bad that rotation is at this point. But regardless, I think Cole Drake is a fantastic piece and really a coup to get if you're Baltimore's for an expiring contract in Ryan O'Hearn. And the last one, this is the fun one, man. You gotta have one of these fun ones. You can't do all the boring stuff. I have to say his name. Marcell Ozuna, and that's the last time I'm saying his name in this segment here, going to the Reds. Say what you want about him as a person. I've made my feelings on him very clear. But he is a very, very good hitter here. And what does Cincinnati need? Very, very good hitters. Because, my God, what the hell is going on with this lineup? You play in Great American Small Park. Your core was supposed to be all these great hitters. I remember oh yeah, Matt McClain, Spencer Steer, Ellie De La Cruz. Yeah, it turns out Ellie's the only good one out of those 3. You need a bat in this lineup desperately. And I understand you're kicking Gavin Lux out of the DH spot. Gavin Lux is not a good defender. I can say this with confidence. I have watched him since 2020 blossom into just okay. However, he's a lot better of a hitter than, Spencer Steer is. I can tell you that much. Or I think Matt McClain's playing second base for them. Whoever's playing second base for them, he's a much better hitter than them. So just put him in the lineup. You can live with the bad defense here with this, how good the pitching staff is. You just need a thumper, man. And the bat they're getting is a thumper here. 232 average, 13 home runs, 42 RBIs. He's got a 358 on base, good for a 384 slugging, 734 OPS, and a 112 WRC plus. Yeah, the power numbers aren't necessarily there, but he is walking a lot more. And on top of that, too, you play in the second most homer-friendly environment in the league. So it really does behoove you to really get someone who has elite power potential in this lineup here behind Ellie. Just provide him some protection. Just get another bat in there and just see what happens. Now, if you're looking at the Ozuna market, it's really not the best market. Atlanta is not in a position of power to ask for a lot here. But I think they can get a prospect who I think has the pedigree to fit what they need, especially because how often do we say, the Braves need an outfielder. The Braves need an outfielder. They have Acuna. Harris was good once upon a time. And then they have a giant gaping hole in left field that is filled by a rotating cast of characters every year. And I think Ethan O'Connell, he's not going to be the best hitter on the planet by any means. I think he can be a perfect 4th outfielder here. On the year, 272 average, 5 home runs, 35 RBIs, 14 stolen bases, good for 320 on base, 315 slugging, 635 OPS. And here's the thing is, he's just kind of, I don't want to say mid, but he doesn't do anything exceptional. He doesn't have great power. He doesn't have great contact. I don't even say he has good things, but he's above average to average at most of it. So really, it's a perfect platoon bat here, which is really what they need, especially because I don't think Michael Harris is going to live up to that Rookie of the Year winning potential he flashed all those years ago. Jurickson Profar is good, not necessarily great, because I think O'Connell can really provide something they need in this Braves outfield here, because it's Acuna and then 2 dudes. If you had a 3rd dude, it's looking a lot better here. And really, I think that's what the Braves need, because their salary cap is tied up in this core that maybe Anthopoulos should not have gone all in. I understand they still have a lot of talent, but hindsight's starting to look a lot of 2020 here all of a sudden. And just getting a cheap, cost-controlled platoon bat for Ozuna, I think that's exactly what the Braves need at this point. And let's see if they're good again in 2026. But more importantly, what trades would you make if you were the GM of every MLB team? Who overpaid? Who underpaid? What was your favorite trade? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, if you enjoyed the content, leave a like, subscribe to the Run the Play Network, and don't forget on the way out, play ball.